Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome as the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors rolls into West Virginia at the iconic Summit Point Motorsport Park. And what a track this is. A true national circuit of North America that always invokes great racing. I'm Tim Cox. We've got Samuli Kumo in the virtual production trailer, but I'm joined for tonight only by Lee Thompson. Lee, welcome along. And, well, this circuit, it's old school. To give it a British equivalent, it's almost like an Alton Park, this place, and well, racing on the slightly larger circuit, not the smaller Jefferson circuit, although seeing we've got 40 drivers in this session, it's a good job that we're not racing on the Jefferson version of this circuit.
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. Good to be here for yet another Ray Esports-based event. So, yeah, good to see the Formula Fords joining the Weekend Warriors program. Like you said, I mean, Summit Point just probably same for you, right? And for most people out there, most iRacers out there watching, it brings back a lot of memories from, being in rookies at iRacing. It was one of the first, 2 or 3 tracks that most people are going to jump on iRacing. And like you say, it was always one of my preferred ones. Probably, or does it top my list of like the rookie tracks? I mean, Alton Park, I guess, is a rookie track nowadays, right? But it didn't used to be back in my day. I think Alton Park gets a nod now, but yeah, maybe Summit Point got the nod over Laguna Seca, I would say. So yeah, good one to start us off for covering this as we join the series in round 3.
Definitely, and you say that, ironically, I was on the Jefferson layout, but Summit Point was my first ever track that I raced in an official in iRacing, so there you go. And as you say, we're qualifying just underway right now. It's following the same format as the SRF Weekend Warriors, 20 minutes qualifying, but we head out into a 40-minute long race. Going to be a bit interesting, a little bit different, of course. The officials in iRacing, both in rookie and D class, much shorter races, a real test for our drivers. We joined the championship at round 3 and already to the name. Round 1 we visited Laguna Seca. Megan Overstreet took the victory there for Watkins Glen. Gutted to miss it on that one. Absolutely love that place. Simon Ball picked up the victory there. Before we head across from North America to Europe. We visit Snetterson in a week's time, and then it's across to Japan for Okayama and Tsukuba, then back to America for Roteland, and then yo-yoing back and forth to Europe, Ridskogen, Alton Park, to take us deeper into the season. But right now, qualifying, well, Thomas Renders, the Flying Dutchman, leading the way with a 1:15.12 tenths clear on Jason Green, who is no slouch whatsoever. And you see Megan Overstreet there, as mentioned earlier, race winner of the opening round of the first ever season. Of course, this brand new car to the iRacing series, and come along to complement the Mazdas and Formula V in the rookie classes, but also getting its own dedicated D-Car series. For Enzo Arabian, that's going to be one driver to watch out for certain. Always a stalwart. If anyone's watched the SRF Weekend Warriors and runs incredibly strong there, can he transfer over that speed into the Formula 4? It's going to be interesting to see. To Antonio Rice and Jorg Marni, well, we know about those two. Incredibly close, really strong drivers, leading Masters right now in qualifying, those two, 7th and 8th respectively for them. And, well, I mean, what to come to expect, Lee? It's close times, but it's always going to be with these types of cars and these this caliber of drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, good to see already from the get-go that we got 25 cars within a second of each other, and a good little mixture with the different classes that we've got available here. So anyone used to watching SRF Weekend Warriors, we've got the same class format. So red are the S1 class, yellow S2, and green are the Masters. I might have S2 and Masters wrong way, and I'm going to check that in just a second. But regardless, S1 is for drivers who have above 3,000 iRating, S2 below 3,000, and then yeah, Masters are for those 55 or over. And yes, I did have Masters and S2 wrong way around, so yellow are Masters, sorry, and green are the S2s.
Well, should we take a little look at the championship standings as we've got round about, just 5 minutes and change left in qualifying. And well, leading the way is Overstreet with that victory, and of course Ball following close behind, but already at this early stage of the season, near 30 points gap opening out for Overstreet at the top there in S1. Ronenberg, he is third, and then De Gazis, Green, Jacobson, Arabian, Leonardo Mayer and Barry rounding out your top 10, but from 7th downwards it is incredibly close. Let's have a little hop across into Spec 2, where we see Pentakainen, who's currently top of the qualifiers as things stand at the moment here from Summit Point. He's leading the way on 135 points, 12 points clear of Wallbank. And then it's Laurie, Griffin, Walbolt, Flores, Bennett, Benner, Coffey, Harris to round out your top 10. But again, from 6th place onwards, it is incredibly close in the points. And finally, across into the Masters. Let's take a little look at how things stand. And Stevie Ray leading the way by 1 solitary point over Chris Murakami. Antonio Rice, he's only raced 1 race this season, but he's incredibly close behind them in 3rd. And then we've got Rek, Marnie, Cantor, Vaccaro, Janae, Brewster, Bradshaw, and, well, Andrew Love on, well, Nil Poit there currently in 11th. Let's just see. Overstreet pops over the side there, but sorry, Lee, you were about to say.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. And just in case anyone was wondering what all the 2s and 1s were representing, that's the number of rounds that are counted for them in the championship so far. So yeah, either 2 scores or 1 if somebody's missed a round. So there's going to be a fair bit of chopping and changing, I think, as we go through the season, and they kind of even out as they go through.
We have a new pole position sitter. Jorg Marni has risen to be the top of the pile by 300ths of a second. Great lap from the Swiss driver there. If he can hold on to it, and then what can he translate across into race pace? Always strong under racing conditions, so it's going to be interesting to see how he gets on tonight. It's incredibly close between himself and Thomas Renders, who was a professional pole sitter for quite a while in qualifying. We've got 3 minutes left remaining now. There's still, well, Pentakainen leading the way in the Spec 2 class. He's 15th overall as the 41 there, just getting a bit of a drift and losing control there quite easily. I took the car out earlier, Lee. I've not really driven the Formula 4, I'll be honest, since it came to the iRacing service, and what a riot this car is. Once you get the tyres warmed up, it is great fun around here.
Yeah, I haven't driven it at this track, but I did actually have a play around of it at Alton Park last week randomly for a few minutes. And yeah, I thought sometimes you don't know what you're going to get with iRacing cars, right? Sometimes they feel kind of pretty intuitive. Other times, looking at Formula V, at least when it came out, I haven't driven it for a while, they feel very unintuitive. And the Formula Ford, I felt, definitely was for the former. It felt, like I say, well balanced. It felt kind of predictable, and it kind of felt, how I expected it to feel, right? Kind of fairly easy just to kind of pick up and drive. Obviously pretty kind of slippery out there. No aerodynamics of any real note. Skinny little tyres. But yeah, good fun back. Four-wheel drifting around exits of corners and stuff. Yeah, it was. I think it seems like they've done a pretty good job of it, and I'll be interested to closely follow a busy race out there and see how the packs are really going to fare. I don't know if you've heard, sort of, Tim, what sort of thing we might be expecting with kind of what the draft is like on these cars or anything. I'm guessing kind of not a huge amount.
No, it's not too bad, but the real struggle for these cars is they top out at about 193 kilometres, which you're doing, well, about 3/4 of the way down the start-finish straight at least, and that's even someone rubbish like me who got a horrific exit off the final turn. Just riding on board right now with Leandro Pinheiro. Let's see how he gets on. Yeah, I found that as well. Take lots of that curve on the inside of the final corner, and then build the speed to, well, top out, set at 193 kilometers an hour. He just sat there bouncing off the red limiters. It's going to be really so crucial about that exit off that final corner. And I was chatting to Greg Ginsberg, friends of the show, and Ray Sports, and of course, resident commentator in real life here at Summit Point, and he was talking to a few of the drivers, and apparently, this obviously drive this car in the real life as well, and as you're saying, Lee, they've done a brilliant job, and it drives near as damn it like the real thing. It's absolutely,
that's always good to hear, isn't it?
Exactly. It's always good when they get it right. I know they come in for a bit of a bashing iRacing when they get things wrong, but equally, you can see why it's the most popular and arguably the best simulator within sim racing. But it's coming down to a bit of a tricky part of the circuit now. Really easy to lose the rear end there as the car's light on the rear, and it's going to be interesting those opening laps to see how drivers manage those cold tyres as the checkered flag is out right now. Well, Thomas Renders, he's into the pit, so Bessie's going to finish his second. Jorg coming across. Is he going to improve on his best time and extend his lead out of the front as he crosses the line? And, well, that's what he thinks. And, well, good to know. There's a great big jump there. But he does not improve in time. He remains as your provisional pole sitter, though, with 1:15 and 1:47. It's incredibly close to home. Just having a bit of a look, see if there's anyone really else improving out there. And it doesn't look like there's too many, if any, really.
No, and like I say, super close all the way through the field, right? Top four separated by a 10th. We're looking at 1 second down to 31st. So, yeah, like I say, it's going to be a super competitive race out there. Manny for the old timers Masters class, showing the S1s how it's done as well.
Definitely. It's about I wouldn't say, no, possibly even longer. I think it's about 3 seasons ago. Jorg migrated across into the Masters as he came of age, and well, always been strong in Spec 1. And Masters has always been Chris Murakami class, and Anche Rice has always been strong in qualifying. I remember in the SRF Weekend Warriors where he put it on the front row at Daytona. It was a great qualifying from him, but always struggled a little bit for race pace. That he has corrected that over recent seasons and has been really strong. But while Jorg has come in and really sort of taken a stranglehold on that championship and given a real strong fight to Murakami and Rice. So that's going to be one to watch out for, what he can do for the front, and can he be the first ever Masters driver to take an overall victory in what is this brand new championship, of course, with the car being brand new to the service. So definitely not the depth of history like the SRF Weekend Warriors holds compared to this series. But as we transition across into the race session, let's take a little look from your grid. As mentioned, Marnie on pole. He's joined by Thomas Renzen on the front row. Row 2 sees Overstreet and Arabian. Row 3 being Jason Green and Yao Tabinio. Malloy, he's alongside Chris Murakami, with row 5 and the top 10 being rounded out by Antonio Rice and Simon Ball. Leandro Pinheiro, he's got Tulua alongside him on row 6, with row 7 being Ronenberg and Wenger. Pentakainen, top qualifier in Spec 2, has fellow Spec 2 driver Gary Walbot alongside him, with Bradshaw lining up alongside Montgomery on row 9, with top 20, and row 10 being Wallbank and Jim Brewster. Jeff Jacobson, he's got Pedro Carvalho alongside him, with fellow Brazilian Mantovani starting behind him, and Andrew Bennett showing that row with the Brazilian. Big grid, as always here. Tani and Stevie Ray, the series organisers, start alongside one another, with row 14 being Alan Iglesias and Ian Gibson. Jeff Cantor has got Caleb Pocock for company on row 15 to round out shot 30. There's Rene Pike and Joshua Flores on row 16. Row 17, Tom Laurie, this is alongside fellow American Richard Coffey. There's Trenton Kramer and Joshua Justice. Jorge Camilo, Richard Latham, and then your top 40 being Charlie Vaccaro and Alex Bradley. Big grid, big action as always as the drivers all taking to the grid. Got to enjoy a full lap. Don't tend to get that within iRacing behind the Porsche 911 safety car. I mean, quite oftenly you see it so many times now. The short parade lap where the drivers only really take in the last 3 or 4 corners.
Yeah, absolutely. Feels a bit of a cop out, and it makes it much more of a rush for us as well, doesn't it, Tim? Rattling through the grid normally. So no, good that we've got plenty of time, and it's like I say, full formation lap, plenty of time for the guys just to settle in, get their kind of minds focused, figure out how aggressive, not aggressive they're going to be on the opening laps. I mean, I'm just looking forward to this view on the opening lap, Tim, of 40 cars all streaming down into turn 1 now.
Oh yes, it's always a sight to behold when you've got them, and with them being lower powered, if you're just not quite on the accelerator, you do have that little bit of leeway compared to, well, something like, I don't know, a prototype or a GT3 where, just that reaction time costs you so dearly. You do have that little bit of leeway, so they're going to pretty much, well, I say pretty much remain as they are. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be the last late breakers in turn 1, who's going to be that little bit brave and try a big move. It's going to be interesting, and well, that's the side of if anyone makes contact and we have any issues, as I'm seeing Matthew Malloy did not make the grid. Likewise, Charlie Vaccaro and Alex Bradley, so they will all start from the pits if they choose to join us. So, I mean, sometimes when you've got these big grids, it's not a bad shout to start from the pit lane, because you could miss out if there is a big one, which, I mean, these guys are normally really good, so we don't tend to get them, but we have seen them once or twice in the past. I remember at Lime Rock in the SRF Weekend Warriors a few seasons ago, we had a big one at on the parade lap, which saw quite a few cars. So they elected to start from the pits, which was only 2 or 3 of them. Made up a massive amount, I think about 30 odd places, before they even reached turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be a good tactic, or perhaps for those couple of cars they've had penalties or something from past seasons, but past races. But yeah, either way, like I say, we're going to have 37 cars all taking the start behind the safety car, and already they're just working their way down the back straight towards Paddock Bend, and the safety car peels off.
Here we go. Here we go. What is Marnie going to do? Is he going to go early? Yes, he does. Lights it up as the race down to turn 1 begins, and we are racing.
Jumps him.
Yes, he's absolutely ace the start as Jorg Marnie, and he's already, well, nearly half a second clear of the pack, who are left scrambling and all over one another in the background. That fight for second that Renders currently leads, and well, some driving is making up some places, but a lovely move up the inside there. Renders coming under a lot of pressure from Overstreet, who can see Marnie getting away at the top, wants to add to her race victory that she's already had in the opening round of the season. And well, can't quite get the move done, just has to back out of it, playing it safe with these cold tyres in this early stages. But looking further down through the field, Montevino, what a start from the Brazilian at 5 places already into 8th. And that is Renders.
And yeah, big impact in the middle of the field. I see that car running wide on going through the chute, and yeah, collected like 3-4 cars. It looked like that's a real shame, because frankly, it'd been a really good first sort of 2-3 corners from everyone. I didn't see much movement in the timing tower with instance, and yeah, that's all it took. 1 car on the grass.
Involved in that one was Alexander Wenger. You can see there in the 08 machine, down a whopping 23 places because of that little excursion. Also, Simon Ball losing out to our previous race winner from last round. He's dropped a whopping 15 places, and he's headed into the pits. alongside Pinheiro, which is a bit of a gutter for him, and always runs strong. As, well, battles are plenty. Down into turn 1, and they make contact, and, well, Green just about gets away with it on renders there. But that could have been so dangerous making a move with that. Of course, the wheel's exposed on these cars, Lee. So you make any form of contact or trip over suspension, it always invokes a big incident. As that's Murakami off.
Yeah, it's a real shame. It was yeah, same car, both corners, right? Yeah, made contact with the guy who's racing against each time. So just it was a shame. He was obviously had good pace running at the sharp end. Just perhaps needed a little bit more patience to let the race, build out a little bit. It's a 40-minute race. You don't need to be making contact, with different drivers 2 corners in a row. But hopefully they can get back going and rejoin it again. As all Megan out onto the grass as well from second position, loses out to Tabino, and she's going to lose out to Arabian.
And also the 914 there of Antonio Rice. It's going to be a target fixation and running wide exactly the same way that Overstreet did. Overstreet dropping down from 2nd to 4th, but out in front, Yorgmani, he leads as we head out to lap 3 by whopping 1.1 seconds over these early stages, as Rodenberg sizing up a move on the inside there of Antonio Rice and slots it through very nicely. Also just in the background there, I think it was Pentakainen making a move, the Finnish driver, getting that one done too. But Rodenberg just, definitely confirmed now and ahead of Antonio Rice. But don't discredit to her behind them, that 27 machine. Looking to pick up the scraps from, well, if these two come to blows into this tricky part of the circuit right now. Onto the brakes they come, and all remain as they are, but it's as close as you like, up and down through the field, with lots of gaps separated by under half a second. All no-to-sail action in these early stages of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. We can see from the interval gap there, almost all drivers are within a second of each other. So yeah, they're all well and truly in amongst a serious battle. And yeah, Marnie's lost half a second just on this opening part of the lap. Like you correctly identified, he'd pulled over a second and just had perhaps a bit of an error on this closing part of the lap. And yeah, Tabino's closing right in now, coming towards 3 tenths.
Here we go. What can the Brazilian do as he creeps up behind Marnie? That gap down to, well, around about 3 to 4 tenths. He's managed to take out of him due to that mistake somewhere from Marnie. Just seeing us Montgomery there up the inside, getting the move done on Adam Bradshaw. Nice, a lovely textbook move there, wasn't it, down in turn 1?
Yeah, that could be an example for Green, perhaps the lap before, of how to make a move into turn 1. Ian Gibson having a problem. Looked like a decent, safe rejoin back onto the track at least, so he can get back up to speed and get going again in that sort of 31st, 32nd position. And yeah, Rice is under pressure again straight away. We saw him getting past the lap earlier, right? And yeah, now Taylor and Ronenberg are all over him again. In fact, was it Ronenberg that overtook him a second ago? So has Ronenberg had a problem and dropped back again? I want to get
no, you're spot on. It was Ronenberg who made the pass into turn 1 for Antonio Rice, and Taylor, he's actually dropped 2 places because Taylor has made the move as well, and he's managed to get himself up into 7th. And also just seeing there that Ronenberg also just dropping off. Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah, Brewster expertly spotted by Samuli, but unfortunately, and more cars getting collected on the exit of the corner. 3 or 4 cars getting caught on that instant there. I'm not sure it was, I didn't see that him coming back onto track. I wonder if he was just sort of lurking on the exit and those guys run a little bit wide. Maybe we'll have to maybe catch that a little bit later. But yeah, unfortunate for those guys there. And yeah, Tabino still putting Marnie under a lot of pressure. He's got a great one coming through Wagon Bend as well. Is he going to shape up through shoot to make a move then into the carousel complex? Not on this lap, but yeah, Marnie took quite a tight line on the entry to really protect that space.
It's a tricky corner that, isn't it? But you can defend quite easily without losing too much time due to the nature of the way the next, the carousel comes up at you so quickly, and also being a slow speed corner too.
Yeah, it's such a tricky little sequence of corners. Marnie loses it on the exit curb. Fortunately, he doesn't collect any other car, especially Tabino, who was right behind him. Manages to get her up, keeps it out the wall, and is going to get back up to speed again. But that kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, we saw Marnie was being pressured hard. I didn't see him run too wide. I just saw him run out onto the curb, and yeah, rear just went round, and that was it.
I mean, full commitment from Yao Sabino, because I swear I did not hear him lift at one moment while Marnie was having that slight incident there. And, well, that's cost him dearly, all the way down to 9th, and has lost an absolute ton of time. He's dropped 11 seconds compared to Pinio, so that really cost him dearly. And, well, partly my fault, because I heaped praise on him at the start of the race, and Curse the commentator clearly kicking in there for Jorg Marnie. Well, geez, I'd sue him. But also finds himself in a nice little, well, I say nice little bubble. Maybe, maybe not, because he's got some 5 seconds of Pentakainen, who is leading Spec 2. And let's have a bit of a run through the standings right now. So I'm on to lap 6 of the race, 7 minutes out of the 40 complete. Sabino now leads from Ferenz Arabian. Overstreet renders the top 4 then. Tony Rice now leading Masters after Jorg Marnie had that incident. Taloa, 6th is Rodenberg. Pentakainen, your top Spec 2 driver in 8th. Jorg Marnie is 2nd in Masters, 9th overall now. Andrew Benner, he's had a good start. He's up into 10th overall, 2nd in class. Bradshaw has run out your podium in Masters, and then we've got to go down to Coffee in 15th to round out your podium in the Spec 2 class. So, just seeing here is Andrew Benner coming in a lot of pressure right now for Andrew Bradshaw. Just like someone popping out of the pits there, didn't quite catch who it was. Interesting, Z-Cars come up on them fast and furious, and it's going to look to make it 3 wide as we see Bradshaw trying to squeeze his way through the middle and gets it done in spectacular style, does the Brit. Well, that was full commitment there, Lee, wasn't it, from Bradshaw?
Yeah, it was, but Benner's going to come back at him. He got a much tighter exit and managed to get on the power a bit earlier, but yeah, thinks better of it this time, and Bradshaw continues on. It was Jim Brewster who was coming out the pit lane, and Carvalho hard into the wall. Big impact on the rear. We'll see if he's able to get it going. I think he's, no, damaged rear suspension straight away. He's towed straight back to the pits, and that's race over him. Really unfortunate. I wonder if that was, feels like that probably was a wheel on the grass on entry as you turn in, and round the car went.
Seen this battle, well, well, let's find out how it all played out. Here we go.
Yeah, so Cavallo then on the inside initially, and then yeah, it's exactly as I'd wondered. Just as he cut back in front of the car he overtook, yeah, not just the right rear but the right front as well on the grass, and as soon as you do that, you're just going straight on.
Renders just dropping in place there. Well, to Arabian, Overstreet, all 3, all over one another. But this is playing right into Tabinio's hands right now. So these 3 scrap away for 2nd place. Only 2 temps cut. Well, make it 3 temps now. Actually, 4 temps as this expand out the gap as they head through Wagon Bend. Look back for Ferenz Arabian. That is what it looks like to have Thomas Renders only 3 temps right behind you. And see Renders having a little bit of a cheeky look there, wasn't he?
Yeah, I thought Arabian ran wide, but no, he just took a much later apex. Yeah, you can take different kind of lines into that, into the carousel, sorry. But yeah, Arabian did pull it back for a late apex, and now it's really Renders that was under pressure there as they're coming off, and yeah, Overstreet looking to make a move.
No, that's allowed Arabian just open up a bit of a gap there as Renders was really understeering.
Yeah, definitely wide that
time. Out through the S's, and that's allowed now Overstreet probably a best chance to get a move done. This is the trouble with this long start-finish straight here at Summit Point with these cars. Well, they hit the rev limiter, so it makes it all the more trickier down into turn 1 to get a move done. You just run out of gearing, and you have to be really committed, either incredibly close or just, well, full commitment, full send on the brakes and confidently get a move done. Otherwise, there's that big, large gravel trap on the exit of 1 just waiting for you, looming large as, well, Renders holding on for dear life, but they are catching up onto Arabian, who's not had the best first sector. And these 2 now hunting him down. It's going to be interesting to see how long Arabian could hold on to for this, well, lead for 2nd. He's no slouch whatsoever, 6.5k iRacing this guy is Arabian. Equally, well, drivers behind, Renders being 3k and Overstreet 4.3k. They're really, yeah, holding a candle to him right now in terms of ability.
Yeah, I mean, and Rice we got off, managed to just about keep it on the wall. So that was coming out of the S's, is now approaching Paddock Bend, and yeah, like I said, did well to gather it all back up, and yeah, very lucky not to run out of space. As Renders putting Arabian under a lot of pressure, but here's, like you said, they're now just sat on the limiter, and there's nothing to do. Kind of weird that Arabian felt like he was able to pull away a touch at the end there, but yeah, unfortunately for Renders, nothing doing that time.
I suppose Arabian just seems to be running in a little bit deeper into the corners, but then equally it seems to be allowing him to get a bit more of a better exit in comparison to Renders. He's opting for that much more tighter
again. Yeah, even through Wagon Bend again there, you really saw the very different lines from two of them. I'm curious as to the line again coming into this tight left corner here. And yeah, again, it is that later apex again from Arabian. So yeah, I'd say that's what he's got working for him, and yeah, he's pretty consistently hitting those sort of marks, it looks like.
Just getting a little bit squirrely there through the carousel, did Arabian, and starting to feel the pressure.
Yeah, Renders should get a much better run here. Yeah, Arabian was so much tighter on entry into that last right-hander, and yeah, it really just allowed Renders to open up the corner a lot more. And again, Arabian misses the apex by a couple of foot. Renders is going to have a chance to pull alongside again, but again, are we going to see the same where the rev limiter is going to come too soon?
There we go. Renders pulls out as they both bounce off the rev limiter. This is surely even so going to be the move for Renders as Stevie Ray into the pits. We are getting into pit stop territory right now, so he's electing to, as always, go early. He's always a very good indicator on that when it's pit stop time.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, great move from Renders then. Like I say, we could see that getting lined up, you know what, 3 corners earlier, you know, as he came out of the S's. And yeah, like I say, just two small errors in a row from Arabian, and that allowed Renders to make that move. Yeah, Richard Lavin recovering back to the track again. It looks like he managed to avoid any further impact, and Walls manages to continue on. Let's see now then if Renders can pull the gap on Arabian and start to put some pressure on Tabino, or if those 3 are just going to continue battling. And Ronenberg having another issue. We saw, yeah, he lost a couple of spots earlier on off screen, and yeah, now's lost a lot more, dropping back towards the bottom of the 10.
So, well, possibly even while outside the top 10, as that little gaggle of cars there of Bradshaw, Bennett making it through, and Ronenberg just not having the best time right now. He needs to dig deep to try and get himself back inside that top 10. We normally expect to see from Ronenberg as
who's dropping down? Somebody's dropping down from the top. I think it was Tuller, maybe. Did he just drop a few spots? I saw someone drop 2, but I missed it. Yeah, so a bit of movement in the top 5, and now it's Tabino, Renders, Overstreet, Arabian, and then Rice.
So we're back to this battle for second. That's really costing them dearly in terms of time. Tabino now 2.3 seconds clear at the top of the field. Well, he's definitely hoping they can keep battling away and extend, so he can extend his lead over these 3. Still over one another, but it's advantage Renders. He's into second, Overstreet, then Arabian. And what could Overstreet do from this 3rd place?
Yeah, so I wonder if, sorry Tim, I wonder if off-screen Arabian came back at Renders, and then it didn't quite pan out, and that's where he lost that 2nd spot to Megan perhaps. But yeah, he's just losing a little bit of touch now as the guys, yeah, 4-wheel drifting around that final corner.
That's the thing, especially around the S's. We saw it earlier from Arabian, didn't we? Where if you just get offline, it really just exaggerates the further and further you get in towards the S's, and makes it all the more challenging just to try and get back onto the racing line. It's similar to the Snake at Suzuka, isn't it? Where, you know, if you just get it wrong at the start of it, it just exacerbates it the further you get through that complex of corners, as we're just seeing here, Taloa all over the back of Antonio Rice.
Yeah, no, and you bang on, like I say, especially through that sequence in the mid part of the lap. You know, it's really either you kind of get into a bit of a rhythm with it, or you don't, and you kind of lap after lap, you kind of get compromised as you go through. But yeah, so Rice now going to need to continue working, as Kai has a big old moment on the exit there, gathers it back up as he tries to recover from that little off-track excursion earlier on.
It's really cost him dearly in terms of overall position. Still holding on to the lead in Masters though. in terms of positions gained, you've got, wow, Joshua Justice currently leading that way. He's up to an incredible 22 positions. There he is at right now in 14th, and has, well, a plethora of cars to extend that position gain potential in front of him.
Yeah, I thought he was running out of track then as he was coming out of the carousel. He really used all of the exit curb and a tiny bit more, but it looked like that was his planned route as Tom Laurie heads in for his scheduled stop for that little splash and dash. And they have about 30 minutes worth of fuel is the estimate to get through this 40-minute race. So yeah, another 15-minute window for the rest of the pit stops.
Meanwhile, further down through the field, just seeing there, Richard Coffey getting the move done on. Sorry, it's just your Justice, apologies, trying to go up 24 places against Richard Coffey. Well, they sort themselves out right now, and that allows the 399 of Justice there back in.
Took a lot of curb on entry, didn't he, Justice? And we saw then how that pushed him wide, and he struggled just to keep enough of the car on track. I mean, he can run wide on the exit of Wagon Bend, but even so, he used a lot of gravel and yeah, just barely managed to hang on in front of Coffey.
Well, yeah, and took another massive amount of curb in the entry to shoot, and then does it again through the carousel. But it's clearly the tactic right now that he's employing.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how different an amount of curb he's taking compared to Coffey behind in that example. And Arabian then got past which way around are we? Yeah, Arabian got past Overstreet and then past Renders. So yeah, Renders dropping 2 spots, and yeah, Arabian getting past Overstreet at some point off screen as well. So yeah, I dare say this second, third, and fourth positions are going to keep chopping and changing as they continue through the race.
And I do wonder if it might have been a mistake from Renders maybe coming through the final corner that's caused it, because just looking at that gap to Sabino, that's now opened up to 3.5 seconds. So they've lost over the course of the last couple of laps about another additional second. It was, I think last time I checked in on it, it was about 2.5 seconds the gap as into the pits. Coffey, Tarney, Jacobson all popping in. In terms of drivers that have pitted, Andrew Bennett leads that way. He's 20th overall right now. We have also had into the pits Camillo and also Perino, but that was in the opening stages, in the opening laps, so they will need to stop again.
I was kind of considering whether it's correct. I think no, you're absolutely right. Like I say, yeah, they were in for early repairs and aren't going to have enough. Well, the expectation is not to have enough fuel to get to the end of the race. So yeah, absolutely.
Something's happened to Rene Pike off screen. He's had a bit of an incident, unfortunately for him. Still seeing this battle for second loom large, and well, I don't know about you, Lee, if you can see it from your end, but as they came down to turn 1, it seemed like they were coming through a bit of fog there. Clearly saw having a bit of a lock-up and a plume of tyre smoke on the exit of 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so whether it was our leader Tabino, or whether it was one of the back markers that he's just catching now, yeah, not sure. But no, we have had a reasonable amount of tyre smoke so far in this race, and yeah, I dare say we're going to see a bit more. And again, and one right there, car in the inside wall. So lucky that was clear by the time the leader came through. But yeah, we're going to see a little bit more traffic building up now as the leaders are catching these back markers, and the pit stops are going to start changing things around a little bit more as well. I mean, we might see one of the top 4, looking at a pit stop fairly soon, maybe before they catch this little group of 3-4 cars that we can see ahead. Where they try and, where they think they've got a little window that they're going to be able to slot into and make a clearer run of it. So we'll have to keep an eye out. But yeah, it doesn't look like any of the top 4 for now. They've probably got another lap or 2 until they catch those cars.
And I believe the car on the inside there, as we saw Tabino come past them through the chute, was Mantavini, who was just having a bit of an incident there. He has since then headed to the pit, so Brazilian clearly checking out he's had enough maybe. But talking of Brazilians, well, gap just shrinking. Ooh, incident up ahead. There is a spinner. I think that was Wallbank. No, it was Jeff Jacobson, apologies.
Go on, another car just completely through the middle of the gravel as he starts straightening himself up as well. But yeah, like I say, few instances now as we're getting into the middle phase of the race. So we saw Gibson there briefly recovering as well. And yeah, just cars every corner, Tim. All of a sudden, there's cars on the gravel and the grass on the exit. So, yeah, really disconcerting for the lead group as they're coming through. But fortunately, so far, Tabino's managed to avoid it. Here's our first back marker that he's caught a bit quicker, maybe than expected, and hopefully be able to get by into the final corner of the back marker. Kind of half closes the door, half shuts it. And yeah, Tabino just losing a little bit of time through paddock bend there.
If this was a car with lights, like a GT car or a prototype, I get the sense they would be flashing like mad right now. That was Richard Latham. So we've got a leader in Spec 2 into the pits.
And then his right front as well.
Yeah, it's not too much time lost, only about half a second, but this is the beauty when you're out so far in the distance that Tabino is right now, that if you are held up, you do have to take your time when it comes to getting past the back marker. And let's not forget as well, when you do get the blue flags, it's not like, say, Formula 1 where you have to instantly leap out the way. As Latham. Yeah, Latham again. You don't need to leap out the way. It's within the iRacing sporting code. It's down to the car passing to do so in a safe manner. They're more indicative, the blue flags, rather than mandatory to move over the way. As well, I mean, pretty much these three still nose to sail as they have been for nearly the entirety of the race. It's Arabian though who is leading it for now. And like you say, Lee, it's going to be interesting to see. I think this might come down to pit strategy for these three, because they're all so evenly matched.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see if anyone does something different. I feel like they're maybe not gaining like a huge amount of time being in this little kind of train in terms of draft or anything. We're certainly seeing that they're not able to gain time over Tabino regularly, for instance. So yeah, whether one of them decides to risk it a little bit, dive off separately, and see if they can get a couple of clean laps in. Yeah, like I say, for sure it'll be interesting to see. I guess they're all going to pile into the pits at the same time, but we'll find out.
Yeah, you can bet your bottom dollar, can't you? As Eric Rodenberg, he heads into the pits, and I do have to wonder, because in terms of tyre wear, like these cars, they're designed for 15, 20-minute races. We are now over that. We're into minute 20, well, 23 and a half to be precise, out of the 40. Just how the tyres, being a brand new car, it's not like the Ford Spec Racer, for instance, where there's lots of history and understanding of how the tyres evolve across a 40-minute race like we see in the SRF Weekend Warriors. So it's a bit of still a trip into the unknown discovery for these drivers to see Petakainen. He is in from the lead on the 24-minute mark. That is him into the pits there. What do the group behind elect to do? Well, they've just whistled through in the foreground there, and they are going through again. Antonio Rice into the pits to Malloy. Just see him heading out on pit exit there. Where is Tabino going to come out in? And seeing the car not electing to take tyres, so maybe a bit of an indication there. He's feeling good about them right now. And it looks like, to me, he's going to come out somewhere around about Trenton Kramer, Andrew Bradshaw sort of territory is our leader. But he's still stationary in the pits. There we go. He's off and running up again. Full fuel, and yeah, he's just going to come out in front of Trenton. He's just going to, well, blaze past him as he's running at full chat down the start-finish straight. So, bit of traffic for our, well, what was our leader for the pit stops to deal with, and he runs into, that does not exactly help him as you're coming out the pit lane there.
No, definitely not. Like I say, I'm guessing nobody's going to take tyres would be my presumption. I feel like in real life, I reckon these tyres are probably designed to run multiple races, right? It's supposed to be like a low-cost formula. Is Tuller going to be hard in the wall? Just about. Luckily keeps it on the banking and doesn't end off shooting into the void that iRacing would have put him in. Arabian is the only car that's continued on this lap, so Overstreet and Renders we can see in together. And yeah, we'll see where they come out in relation to each other and indeed to Bino. But yeah, Arabian continuing on. I was going to say, yeah, tyres are looking fine. Like comparing their fastest laps to their previous laps, they seem fairly consistent overall. Not lost a huge amount of time. So yeah, I dare say they're going to plod on. So that leaves us with Jorg Marni back up into second, leading of course still the Masters class. Here comes Overstreet and Renders. And where is Tabino? Tabino is behind them, Tim. So Tabino has not worked out for him. Renders maybe is going to end up pretty much alongside, but Overstreet is clear.
Tabino was stationary
just about
for about 3 seconds longer than Renders. So it's that time difference that's what's caused him to lose it. Overstreet only stationary for 16 seconds. Has she underfueled the car? That's the big wonder. Oh, just as he's going a bit slowly there, as he looks like he may well have had a bit of a trip out through the gravel potentially.
Yeah, definitely looking to recover as off track again. So yeah, Justice having a tough couple of corners there, just about manages to get enough grip on the grass to avoid skating back across the track. But yeah, like I say, yeah, so interesting between the fuel strategies for these guys. We'll have to see if anyone's misjudged it. We do see that occasionally, and we saw that on Friday night, in fact, Tim.
We did indeed. We did indeed. It's not the first or the last time we've seen Tabino flying hard right around the outside there. Bit between the teeth. Needs to make up what's some 4.3 seconds that Overstreet has built in now, but it's what Arabian has managed to do. He's running deeper and longer than absolutely anyone else, although Tabino coming off a lot of pressure from Thomas Renders there. Down into turn 1, Renders still staying behind Tabino, and well, these two need to think about this one sensibly here. They need to work together to claw back some of that time. And well, last time around, fastest sector 1 of anyone was Tabino. As friends Arabian in.
Yeah, and I feel like this hasn't worked for Arabian. You know, he had only a 30-second gap to Overstreet, and looking at our timing data, you know, cars are in pit lane for generally, you know, high 30s to low 40 seconds, let alone the time it takes to speed back up again. So yeah, we'll see where Arabian comes out, but I think he's going to end up a little way down the field.
As Marnie in from the lead of the Masters Class 2. And well, I do believe as well we've had a change. Yes, we have a change for the lead in Spec 2.
Arabian already out of pit lane. And he's got the run, so no, completely wrong. Like Overstreet's got the overrun on speed, but I don't think it's quite going to be enough before they get to turn 1. So yeah, Arabian judged that perfectly. Is Overstreet going to have a little dive into the corner? Not quite, but yeah, this battle's going to continue on. But yeah, he was obviously not in pit lane for as long a time.
And we're going to drag it all the way up here to Wagon Bend. Overstreet on driver's right of Arabian. And Arabian, has he run it in too deep? And knows he likes the later apex, but Overstreet coming straight back at the Canadian. But he's held on to it. He's held on to first. There's only 3 attempts between the pair of them. And, well, with 11 minutes remaining, I just think the gloves are going to come off more and more. The deeper we get into this race, Tabino, some 3 seconds behind. So they are taking time out of these two. And the more that they keep battling, that's going to allow Tabino and Renders to close up that gap dramatically, and we could well be in for a 4-car fight for the win here from Summit Point. Question is, who is going to take it? We're going to see Overstreet pick up her 2nd victory of the season. We're going to see a new winner, but that was incredibly close coming out of Paddock Bend.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, Overstreet's feeling confident in a minute, manages to get the overrun as they come over the start-finish line and clears Arabian before they even get into the braking zone. So let's see now then if she can keep hitting her marks and whether Arabian can stay in her wheel tracks or if he's going to just drop off a little bit. But like I say, yeah, they've got a little bit of breathing space to Tabino Renders behind. Yeah, can these guys keep that, or is Tabino Renders going to close that gap? And Pentakainen and Ben are having a real back and forth as they come over the start-finish line into turn 1. And for the moment, yeah, Ben is just about hanging on in front.
Just about. No, actually, they did swap around Ben.
In front, sorry,
yeah.
Yeah.
Although it could be. I thought he was going to have a little bit of a look there into Wagon Bend. Elects not to. The American just tucking in behind the fin, and I do have to wonder, down into turn 1, with Arabian just backed out to allow Overstreet through, because Tabino is taking heaps of time. Since the round of pit stops when Overstreet came out, he's taken about a second out of her. And just in his last lap alone, it's taken an additional 2 attempts. So Brazilian clearly flying at the moment and desperate to catch up into our top two. Still scrapping away as Pinheiro is in. Of course, ooh, that's a big incident for Antonio Rice.
That car is not going anywhere, so that was a bit optimistic, turning the steering wheel and putting the pedal on the floor on that one. But yeah, that's race over for Rice. Unfortunately, a big impact into the wall there. Yeah, had a few little excursions. Let's take a look.
Well, there was an incident in the background there as well. I didn't quite catch who that was, but there's too much curb on the inside or just too much mustard on the outside. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, left rear touched that gravel just the slightest amount, and as soon as it did that was it. Speared straight into pit wall. So yeah, really unfortunate for Antonio there. And yeah, Overstreet has not managed to drop Arabian so far. We see he's staying within that sort of 3-4 tenths as they've continued around this lap. So yeah, just 8 minutes to go, and that battle's going to continue on. Yeah, Tubino really has closed a lot as well, Tim, like you suggested.
It's taken about an additional 4 tenths in this last lap alone. He is absolutely flying right now and displaying incredible pace here in the latter stages of the race. Renders equally is coming along for the fight too, mainly 4 tenths behind. You see the two battles on your screen right now, and here comes Arabian up the inside. This is playing into Tubino. Renders' hands. See Overstreet just clearly backing out there. Just these two desperate not to lose too much time to one another, because that gap is now down to 1.2 seconds. That's an extra 3 or 4 tenths that the Brazilian's taken out of these two. I think realistically, Lee, it's only going to be a couple of laps before he's up onto the back of them.
Yeah, absolutely, going to be happening in no time. But like I say, yeah, if these guys want to just leave this battle to themselves, they need to just work together a little bit for the next couple of laps and see if they can just hold off that gap and then maybe have a fight for it at the end. But yeah, like I say, I think it's going to become a 4-car battle anytime soon.
We say fight at the end. I mean, we've only got 7 minutes remaining. There's still not a lot of time left on the clock. We're going to get at 5 laps in, maybe 6 potentially. It's going to be close between those two. And equally, with that short pit stop that Overstreet had, so she came in on lap 20 compared to Arabian, who came on lap 22, but yet they were stationary for exactly the same amount of time. Has she got enough fuel in that car? That's, I think, for me, is the big question. I mean, surely she wouldn't be attacking Arabian as much if she didn't feel confident on that fuel usage.
Yeah, like you say, she definitely seems, is comfortable at the minute, so hopefully that is justified. She had the same amount of time in pit lane as Arabian, but then Arabian did what, 2-3 more laps, and like I say, was quicker than those other cars around her. So we'll just have to wait and see, as Marnie battling hard with Talor on this one, and yeah, for the moment Marnie is hanging on in there, but super close between the two of them. Again, forward drifting as they head through Wagon Bend now.
Well, in fact, it was Jorg Marnie actually getting past the Brits. That's him up into 5th overall. Of course, doesn't really affect things in Masters. He still leads the way in that. Expect to. Still as close as you like between Bennett and Pentakainen for the victory. They are 7th and 8th overall, respectively. As Andrew Bradshaw is currently 2nd in Masters as well.
Ooh, that was a lucky boy. Terrible track rejoin on that one, but yeah, lucky for both parties that there's just barely was enough space.
But that's also cost him 2nd in class as well, because Stevie Ray is now headed through. He's going to be 13th overall and 2nd in Masters now with a decent advantage over Bradshaw. We're right on board with Andrew Benner. The car in front of you blinking is never the most confidence-inspiring moment. He's incredibly close, right on the ragged edge there of track limits, and yet again.
Yeah, and that was exactly where we saw Rice have his moment going into the wall, of course. So yeah, he definitely was lucky to hang on to that. As just battling past that back marker into turn 1. But yeah, nothing that Pentakainen was able to take advantage of this time by. And yeah, all fairly static still at the front. Still Arabian from Overstreet. Still closing just a little bit, more like a second now behind. So he might just barely run out of laps unless these two really start squabbling away.
Down to a second. Can he get it within? Well, there you go. It's just tips within 1 second. These two incredibly talented drivers. still all
into
over one
DRS
another.
range, I want to say.
Yes, they are. Just, yeah, he is into DRS range. Yeah. I'll tell you what, the flat will fully be open right now for Tabino, and he'll be swallowing the pair of them up. But as they bounce off the rev limits, Overstreet go for the move up the inside. Driver's right of Arabia onto the brakes, gets the move done. But that's just going to allow Tabino to take even more time out of the pair of them. The gap down to 6 attempts. Make that half a second in the space of what? The start-finish straight. Is that, oh, that's Pentakainen off.
Yeah. So really unfortunate for Pentakainen. So far he's only lost 1 spot, so we'll see how many more he loses as he gets up to speed, just a 1 more. But yeah, like I say, another one grabbing the gravel perhaps on the exit of the final corner.
So it's taken Pentakainen out of the fight for the win in Spec 2 and, well, dropped him down into maybe even losing that, because Laurie and there's no Slurry, apologies, is right behind Pentakainen. As we're on board with Tabino, and look at how that gap shrunk. It's only 2 attempts.
Well, exactly. I mean, half a lap ago I said he'd run out of laps, so yeah, I was thinking to close that gap, right? And yeah, in the space of half a lap, well, in the space of turn 1, as he has a huge sideways moment around the final corner, just about manages to get up. We'll see if Renders gets a bit of a run on him. Doesn't look like a huge amount from the timer screen. But yeah, like I say, yeah, Tabino just made that a 4-car train in turn 1 last lap, basically.
So I'm going to just cover it off a little bit there. And you see how much stronger he seems to be into the braking zone. Into turn 1 and closes instantly right back up to them. The gap had grown out to about 3 attempts after that. Oh, drift practically through the final corner there, but instantly closing back on our top 2 and Overstreet, Arabian even, just running a bit wide there through Wagon Bend.
Yeah.
Overstreet be praying for these two to get into one another, just start battling.
That was a good little visual example through Wagon Bend on that one of sort of slow in, fast out, right? So Arabian, went quicker into the corner, and it just meant he lost, compared to Tabino, all his momentum on the exit, and yeah, it really meant that Tabino was able to close right back up again. So yeah, good little visual example. Just going to be 1 more lap after this one, I think, from the looks of it. Tim, I might get just scrape 1 more after that pass, possibly. But yeah, Tabino now all over the back of Arabian, and Arabian's just dropped off of Overstreet slightly.
So Overstreet's taking that gap up to 6 attempts, and Tabino knows that one. As they come across, I'm having a look. No, Barney is not waving the flag, so we've got, what, 2 more laps, including this one to go. Tabino up the inside of Arabian, onto the brace, gets that move done. Renders looks to pull it through, could not find the gap enough. But Arabian just about holds on to 3rd for now, but seems to be struggling this last stage of the race. And equally as well, Overstreet, despite all that battling, not able to eke out any more time over these drivers. In fact, I think she's lost a couple of attempts there, Lee.
Yeah, like I say, she's got a little bit of breathing space, but yeah, like I say, maybe could have ended up with just a little bit more. But yeah, all 4 of them pushing super hard. And you see they're right on the limit of what the tyres are happy to put up with. And yeah, like I said, Tabino doing a great job leading those 3 cars now to try and close that little gap back up to Overstreet. I mean, it is tough all round for all of them now, right? They all just need to try and focus on really hitting those apexes. All it's going to take is to miss an apex by a couple of foot, and you're going to have the car behind you, really closing before the next corner.
So here we go. Final corner. As they come across the line, they will take the white flag here from Summit Point.
Overstreet had a tough final corner there, took the inside curve, which she didn't really want to do. We can see how much Tabino's closing and how hard now Overstreet is defending as they head into turn 1. Is Tabino going to get the overlap? How brave is Overstreet going to be on the brakes on the inside? Very is the answer. Can she get it stopped enough? She can. Tabino still hanging on in the outside there. Overstreet getting a good drive off the corner. But yeah, Tabino just about got the overlap still. Who's going to have it into Wagon Bend?
Well, I think this is going to be an advantage to the Brazilian. He's on the inside, and Overstreet there just had to lift out a little bit. That's going to allow Arabian to come back with them, but don't discredit Renders. Oh, as Arabian moving across there just to cover off the advances of the Dutchman. And right now, Tabino is advantage towards him as they head through the chute towards the carousel. Who is going to take it between these 4? Could Overstreet pluck something out of the depths to get past the Brazilian and to make it 2 wins from 3 this season? Or are we going to see yet another winner from the opening 3 rounds of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors? And well, he's streaking away. And yeah, Tabino, it didn't work out for him during the pit stops. but he closed up the gap. And as he comes through the final corner, he is going to take victory here from Summit Point, and across the line with a weave comes the Brazilian. He's got a little bit further to go. As he realised? I don't think he did. So, well, Overstreet picks up second, Arabian third, but that could have been a game over there for Torpedo because Overstreet was catching a rapid rate of knots.
Yeah, that was that looked a little bit tighter than he anticipated on that one, I think. So he just about got away with it. But Samuli Nari is suggesting that, well, certainly just Bradshaw here running out of fuel. I wonder if maybe was that the issue for Tabino as well, do we think? But anyway, he recovered. But yeah, Bradshaw is not going to get back to pit lane or back to the finish line.
Well, he's not that. You can hear it having a good old Shergers Trent and Kramer here coming into pressure in the closing stages. That is Joshua Justice right behind him. He's on his own excursions, and Justice up the inside. Last lap, last corner action from West Virginia, and that looks like Justice is going to take that place away right at the depth, or is he? As they come across the line, it's going to be incredibly tight. 100th of a second separating the two Americans. Wow, that was a cracking little run to line right at the end there. As well, there's your winner, Yao Tabino. What a drive from the Brazilian, getting it done in epic style here from West Virginia. Summit Point, it's a great circuit and it's been a great drive for the Brazilian. No messing whatsoever. Clinical in every step of the way. Didn't quite get it right during the pit stops. Lost a lot of time there. Clearly something to work on for him, but well, if he hadn't have done, he would have won this one at a canter. And let's take you through some classified results here from Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. Round 3 from Summit Point. Now Tabino taking the victory. Overstreet in second. Franz Arabian rounding out your podium. And it's Thomas Renders. Yogmani taking the victory in Masters. 5th overall for him. Fortillo in 6th. Andrew Benner picks up that Spec 2 victory without Reningberg third. And Lasse Pentikainen. Well, he looked strong incredibly, but that mistake cost him dearly. In the end, he finishes second in class, 9th overall. Degasius rounding at your top 10. And it's Tom Laurie to pick up the last podium place in Spec 2. Richard Coffey third. Stevie Ray comes home 13th overall and picks up that second place in Masters. Pinero 14th, then Tani. Wallbank, Malloy, Justice, Kramer and Flores running at your top 20. Adam Bradshaw in the end. He was fighting for victory, and despite running out of fuel, in the end comes home 21st, 1 lap down, but still picks up that last podium spot in Masters. Camillo 22nd. Murakami, well, had a really disappointing race by his standards. It's right at the sharp end in terms of Masters, but in the end, finishes 4th in class, 23rd overall. There's Pocock, Cantor, Gibson, Brewster, Wenger, and Latham and Rice to run out your top 30. And, well, Rice, first of the retirements, we lost him. All the way back on lap 23. Montevino, we lost him on last 16. Walbot retired on lap 15, likewise to Jacobson. Carvalho on lap 12. Ball, of course, winner last time out. Retired the car on lap 5. Montgomery, we lost him on lap 4. Jason Green on lap 1. And Charlie Vaccaro and Alex Bradley did not make the start. Let's have a bit of a shout to some of our drivers. First off, well, let's have a chat to Megan Overstreet, second. But it could have been the win, Megan. I mean, your stop was so much more shorter than everyone else's. I mean, were you struggling for fuel a little bit in the latter stage of the race? It didn't seem that way at all.
Nah, I had just enough fuel to get to the end and do a cool down lap.
Oh, there we go. Timed it to perfection. I mean, when you saw, obviously, how much Yatapino was, how much time you managed to eat out of his lead just through that pit stop, was it surprising to you? Obviously, we could see from the timing data exactly what was happening, but did it surprise you that you came out into the lead after the pit stops?
Yeah, I was not expecting that because I was like about 5-6 seconds behind going into the pits. So when I was coming out, I was like, surely I'm not in the lead, but I saw him behind me and I was like, I can't believe that. Did I underfuel or did I not? But I know I took enough fuel.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was, I think he was stationary for something like about 4 seconds longer than yourself, which led to us thinking, well, have you underfueled? But, I mean, from that point onwards, he caught up with yourself and friends massively. I mean, in terms of sort of like time, you two were, it seemed to be, although you were battling one another, it seemed to be playing it sort of safely and working together almost. But, I mean, in terms of pace, and that, especially that last lap, well, last couple of lap battles, just talk us through it.
We were trying to play it safe and not like slow each other down, because we knew he was coming quite rapidly, so we were trying to pass with good smart intent if we could, and then race fairly from there.
Definitely, but couldn't make it a victory, couldn't make it 2 wins from 3, but even so, a second, I mean, it's a cracking result for yourself, and still leading the championship, I believe, as well, based on that.
Nice.
Not a bad weekend at all. That's Megan Overstreet, who picked up 2nd place here today from Summit Point. Let's have a chat to a winner, though. Now speak to a winner in Spec 2. It is Andrew Bennett. Andrew, wow, I mean, talk us through your race. It was an absolute cracker, but Pentakainen, I mean, he looked like he was in a different league today, but you really, certainly in qualifying, but you really took the fight to him during the race.
Yeah, no, it was a hard-fought battle between us the whole way through. I just couldn't get a lap together for qualifying. But, I sat down, went through, had a conversation with myself, said, time to just go through, put in some great consistent laps, and we'll see where we end up.
Wow, and my golly, did it work? An absolute treat for you. But knowing yourself and the race that you are, how, I mean, obviously you saw Pentakainen, he made that mistake, ended up spinning and dropped right off the back of you. As much as it was a weight off your shoulders, were you almost a little bit disappointed that you won it with such ease in the end?
I was actually. So back a couple weeks ago in my Wednesday night league with a great group of people who are all watching from home. Hi to all of you guys in Mark's Wednesday night league. Yeah, we had been having great battles, and I was like, I knew that I was playing with him, and I got by him, and then all of a sudden he just dropped off my radar, and I was like, uh-oh, where did he go? And it was a real disappointment because we were going to continue to have a cracker, and I think he could have gotten me there at the end had he not made that mistake coming out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been tricky though around here, isn't it? Of course, you got that long. I was saying in the build-up and during the raceway that you bounce off the rev limiter pretty much from what 2/3, 3/4 of the way down the start-finish straight. So, just talk about the moves into turn 1. Does it make it easier for you to defend, or is it harder? In fact, in the sense of just cars are so equal.
So for me personally, I love having to defend into turn 1 because I like breaking this car as late as it will go. And I know that even, typically I like to brake a little bit earlier, but I like keeping that little bit in the back. And so I can help lure in a little bit of false confidence in people of thinking they can brake a little bit later than they actually can. But, it's challenging. You do not want to be in first place with less than a quarter second coming out of that final corner on the last lap, as I think we saw in the Spec 1 class.
Wow, the mind games, Andrew Bennett. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. But still, winner in class, 7th overall, up an incredible 17 places. That is Andrew Bennett. And, well, I think that's absolutely, nobody else wanted to pop in to have a chat to me. Everyone obviously always welcome along, but thank you very much for joining us, absolutely everyone. It's been an absolute epic race, but did we expect anything less from, well, not just Weekend Warriors as a whole, but certainly it's carried off over from the SRF into the Formula Fords. Great racing, close action. I've been Tim Cox with Lee Thompson and Samuli Kumo, and we'll see you in a week's time on the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors Tour rolls across to England and Snetterton.